of coffee. Wow. Well, today is Halloween.
Oh, yes.
Anybody know that?
Oh, wow.
Are you wearing a Halloween costume?
I'm wearing all black.
I have a Halloween costume.
I have my look at my hair. Here's my Halloween costume.
There you go. I have actually, you can't see them, but I have Halloween earrings on.
Oh, nice.
There's a little spider.
Oh,
And a little bat. Yeah. Got
That's
a Halloween
cool.
costume. And then this kind of like pumpkin-y, so dressed for the occasion.
Cool.
Had a fun fact last night. A pastor was talking about Halloween, and he said that the amount expected to be spent on Halloween this year in the United States is $12 billion.
Really?
$12 billion. He said is the most biggest retail spending event next to Christmas.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
It is crazy.
That's amazing.
Here I am thinking, when I was driving here, I'm thinking like, oh, this year there's not a lot of people are doing something, and then you just get
It's up from 10 billion from last year. They estimate 12 billion. Billion, by the way, audience, I said billion with a B. And that's amazing to me. I mean, Halloween is fun and everything. Like I said, I made my $12 contribution with my earrings. But, I think about...
It's all the stuff that we're throwing away.
What could you do with 12 billion, You could end the homeless crisis in this country with 12 billion. You could probably fix the war in the Middle East with 12 billion. The writer's strike could have been ended.
Yes.
With $12 billion. It's just, it's all fun and everything. It's funny. I don't even know what the origin is because it's not really a holiday.
No.
We call it a holiday, but
it's a marketing holiday.
It's a marketing holiday. Yeah. So it was just amazing to me to hear that number, $12 billion.
Because it's a lot of stuff that we're gonna be throwing away.
Yes.
Like candy.
Yes.
We're not gonna eat all the candy.
Yes.
Like my kids get bags of candy.
Yeah.
They're not gonna eat it all. I found like years and years like after doing this. Sometimes when I do spring cleaning,
right, you find candy.
I find bags of candy. And it's like, how did it get here? Like, yeah, for reals. Like somewhere around March, April, I will find bags of candy under the bed,
funny.
On the closet. That's crazy.
It is crazy. But I was shocked with that number. You're not even giving gifts. At least Christmas you're buying gifts. Yeah. It's like $12 billion on decorations and costumes is really what you're saying.
Yes, that's crazy.
It is crazy. But anyway.
So spend your money well.
Food for thought, yes. Maybe we should start a campaign. Instead of buying for Halloween next year, all that money you were going to buy for Halloween, we will donate it and end the crisis of homelessness.
Lily's house. Oh, yes.
That too.
Oh, yeah, homeless. Yeah, for sure.
End the homeless crisis in America by donating your Halloween money to the cause.
There you go. So whatever ministry you're supporting.
That's it.
So instead of spending money for Halloween, save it for the ministry that you're supporting.
So. I think that'd be great.
Yeah, that would be way better.
Way better. 12 billion. Look it up. Check it out. Google will tell you the truth. Anyway, let's talk about last night.
Yeah, $15 of that 12 billion went today for my son. That's it. All right. All right. So last night we talked about why is it so hard for us to make decisions.
Yes.
And we started there, and then he went all over the other side.
So, but I love that.
Yes.
That's the beauty of being in the group on Monday night in person.
Yes. Because we did cut the Facebook. I want to say this. We did cut the Facebook. I was like, okay, good. Bye. See you. It's like, we didn't even pray out. It's like, oh, yeah. You got this.
We had some personal business to take care of.
Yes.
And, it was much more intimate and kind of in-depth. So we wanted to, just maintain a little
So we did pray for
privacy.
Everybody.
Yes.
We just had to do it in private because he was just a little bit more sensitive. That's all. But it's like, what happened? She just disconnected. It's like, okay, I love you guys. See you. Bye. So because we were doing the class and let's do this. And okay, bye. So that's what happened.
See what you miss when you don't come in person?
Yes. Yes. And you didn't get the handouts. So that's another plus.
True that.
But we talk about the ability to make decisions without anxiety about the outcome and being content with the result. That's a decision, and that's a skill that we don't come with that skill.
Right.
We have to develop the skill. Making decisions is not something that we are born knowing how to do, and that's because our parents are the ones that teach us to make better decisions, to make decisions, period.
Right.
And then they help us, like, to say, okay, it's up to you. Go make mistakes. And also, when we make mistakes, to have someone to support us, when to say, okay, this is how you messed up, now how we can correct it. But a lot of us don't have that growing up. So we don't have people to teach us how to make decisions.
Right.
That's why we don't know how to make decisions, and that's why we're doing this class.
Right.
To have that that opportunity to learn that skill, because it's a necessary skill.
And it was interesting because there was a lady there, and she said that really resonated with her, that you have to learn how to make good decisions. You know, and she shared an interesting story about something that happened with one of the family members. It's like, and her comment was, "Why did he think that was a good decision?" Well, maybe he hadn't been taught how to make smart decisions. But it is something you do have to learn.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing making decisions, and then the next thing is making good decisions.
Right.
But right now it's just about making decisions. Let's focus on making a decision.
That's true.
Because it's like we get stuck for years and years because we are not willing to make decisions. So
that's very true.
Let's first learn to make decisions, and then how to make good decisions.
Right. Very true.
Starting
Yeah,
point.
that is interesting.
Like
yeah,
kids.
because it may not be a good decision, but you just got to get to the point where you can make the decision.
Where you feel comfortable
and stick
making
with the
decisions.
decision, whether it's the right decision or the wrong decision. That's how you learn from making mistakes.
Yes.
But you got to make a decision. So, you know, I took us last night to we went Old Testament again with the Israelites, and we went back to the book of Numbers. That's in the Old Testament, in case you don't know. And it was the part of the Bible, Numbers 13, chapters 13 and 14. Yes, we did the entire chapter 13 and 14. And it talked about when God, told Moses to send 12 spies, to go see the land of milk and honey, and to verify that, what God said is there, and then come back and report to all the people. So, and it's a very interesting story because a lot of decisions had to be made through that. And it really, I basically out of the story, I found 6 reasons why it is hard to make decisions. Sometimes, information we don't have or we haven't heard right. So again, we're talking Bible, and God gave the command to Moses to go send them to the 12 spies. Now here's what's interesting. In the very first part, in Numbers 13:13, one sentence, the Lord said to Moses, "Send some men to explore the land of Canaan, which I am giving to the Israelites." So God told him up front, this is the land I have for you. I just need you to send people over there. He picked 12 spies from the 12 tribes to send them over for 40 days, and they were going to investigate the land and what was there. So he picked the guys, and they said, okay. Now, first of all, number one is, especially if it's a decision where we need to know, we need to hear from God about it, we don't listen to God, or we don't trust what he's saying. And God was very clear. Send them over to the land which I am giving you. So from the very jump street, he said, I'm giving you. Sometimes God will tell us things that we are not sure it's from him, or it sounds a little off, or it's making me uncomfortable. It's out of my comfort zone. If it's out of your comfort zone, it's definitely from God. But we got to learn we have to learn how to hear from God so that we can learn how to discern his voice and trust then what he's saying. So that was number one, a lot of times why we can't make good decisions, or any decision. Number 2 is we don't ask enough questions. And sometimes we get very excited. Media, social media, advertising, everything is very good about getting you emotionally charged about doing something. And you're like,
$12 billion.
Let's do it. We're going to make $12 billion in the next 6 months if you do this, if you join this company, if you buy that product, And so we jump on it, and we never ask enough questions. And then we get 2 months into it and realize, oh, this is not working. Well, why? Because you didn't have enough information. So Moses, being a good leader, he didn't just send the 12 spies over. So jumping down to verse 17, he told them, go up there, and here's what you need to be doing once you get there. And he asked a whole bunch of questions. See what the land is like, whether the people who live there are strong or weak, few or many. What kind of land do they live in? Is it good or bad? All very good questions. What kind of towns do they live in? Are they walled or fortified? How is the soil? Because they gotta, grow their own food. Is it fertile or poor? Are there trees? Is it or not? Do your best to bring, and then he gave them instruction. Do your best to bring back some fruit and it was the season for the first ripe grapes. So he didn't just send them out and say, just go and look, just spy. He gave them very specific instructions on what to look for, which any good leader would. Now, when you're making your decisions, you have to ask questions. You have to ask questions, especially those of you that are dating. Ask the men the questions. Queen of Sheba came to ask Solomon hard questions. So ask questions, ladies, and that's one thing where we don't do enough of because we think it's impolite or rude or embarrassed. We should know. Ask the questions because you're not going to make a good decision if you don't ask enough questions. So moving on, jumping down, number 3 is we let fear get in the way of committing to our decisions. So for those of you that know the story, if you don't, go back and read Numbers 13 and 14. For those of you that know the story, they sent us 12 spies. The 40 days they came back, and basically they gave an account of what was there. Yeah, everything you said, the milk and honey, it flowed with milk and honey. And then it says, but, in verse 28, chapter 13, verse 20, it says, but the people who live there are powerful, and the cities are fortified, are very large. And then they talked about who they saw there, the Hittites, the Jebusites, the Amorites, those are all people that were warring against the Israelites. And then the Nephilims were there. They were the giants. I hope I'm saying it right, Nephilims. And jumping down to verse 33, it says, or 32 and a half, it says, the land we explored devours those living in it. All the people we saw were of great size. We saw the Nephilim there, the descendants of Anak. We seemed like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and we looked the same to them. So, now, mind you, going back to the first part, God knew all that stuff was there. And what did he say? This is the land I'm giving you. But see, they got over there, and they saw how big the people were and whatever, and all the enemies that were there. They got afraid. And so now they're not willing to commit, even though God has promised them the land. And then they've projected. So they see the giants and they say, we see ourselves as grasshoppers, and they see us like that too. And we do that all the time. We start projecting our own fear onto other people. And the bottom line is, again, you got to know how you hear from God. God told you to go. It's not going to be comfortable. Remember I said that earlier. It's not going to be comfortable. If he tells you to do something that's uncomfortable, you know it's from him. So then they got afraid. So now 4th point is you begin to romanticize and rationalize. Staying where you are is better than making a decision to move forward. And we do that all the time. I hear it all the time. Well, the marriage is not that bad. Well, he's a good guy when he's not drinking. He's a good guy when he's not high. Oh, I've been on this job for 20 years. I'm getting ulcers, but I only got another 5 years before I retire.
We're doing this for the kids.
We're doing it we're staying for the kids. We start rationalizing, and that's what the Israelites did. They started talking about we were better off in Egypt. Lord, why has our Lord brought us out here to die in the desert? And they got all these things that are going to happen to them. Our kids are going to get plundered, and our children and our wives. And wouldn't it be better for us to go back to Egypt? They were slaves in Egypt. It's almost like they got out there in the desert, got uncomfortable, and then they're like, oh yeah, let's go back to slavery. That was so much better. Yeah. Being a slave was so much better. We do that in real life. That's crazy. Yes. It's crazy. So then that's number 4. Number 5 is we don't listen to wise counsel. Now, who are the only 2 that came back and said, no, we should do it? Who's your favorite person?
Joshua and Caleb.
There you go. Joshua and Caleb were the only 2 out of 10 that said, oh no, we can do it. And Joshua says, the land we passed through and explored is exceedingly good. If the Lord is pleased with us, he will lead us into the land of a land flowing with milk and honey, and will give it to us. Only do not rebel against the Lord, and do not be afraid of the people of the land, because we will devour them. Their protection is gone, but the Lord is with us. Do not be afraid. And so what does it say next? The whole assembly talked about stoning them. They were so afraid that they're not even listening to the 2 people that really heard from God, that really believe that God has got their back, and they're ready to stone them. That happens all the time. We counsel people all the time, right?
We get stoned.
Sometimes I think that's where they don't shoot the messenger, right? Like, I'm just giving you a message from the Lord. Don't get mad at me, get mad at him. So they didn't like the message they were hearing. They got mad. They weren't listening to the wise counsel. And then they paid a very heavy price, which is number 6. And I guess this isn't really why we don't make decisions. It's really more of a consequence of our indecision. We suffer the consequences of our indecision and or rebellion and miss the blessing of moving forward in our decisions. Because what ended up happening was God told them, well, first of all, Caleb and Joshua, they got in. You know, he says, because my servant Caleb has a different spirit. See, remember, fear is a spirit. It talks about that in the New Testament. God did not give us a spirit of fear. So Caleb had a different spirit and follows me wholeheartedly. I will bring him into the land he went into, and his descendants will inherit it. So he and Joshua were the only two people over the age of 20, which is the age of accountability, over the age of 20 that actually got into the promised land. Everybody else died in the desert. You know, and then the very last line he says, in verse 31, now we're in chapter 14, verse 35, he says, they will meet their end in the wilderness, here they will die. And that's what happens a lot of times. Our indecision, our inability to make a decision causes our dreams to die.
Yeah.
God has given everybody that's listening under the sound of my voice, he's given you a mission, he's given you a calling, he's given you a vision for your life. But because you're so either afraid or worried about the consequences or not really hearing from God, it's like your dreams and your visions are going to die with you. Don't let that happen to you.
Right.
Don't let that happen to you. Don't let indecision, just learn, like Lily said, learn how to make a decision. Learn how to make a decision, because even if it's the wrong decision, you'll learn from it. But I think it was Wayne Gretzky said, you'll miss every shot that you never take.
Yeah.
And that's what happens from indecision. You'll miss it. You'll miss the opportunity. Even if you do it wrong, you learn from your mistake and you keep moving. Most millionaires, billionaires now failed their way to the top.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But they had to keep making decisions to move forward. So
and making mistakes.
So don't be like the Israelites and die in the desert. That's my topic for the day. Don't be like the Israelites. But I know it's not easy. But Lily's going to tell us now how to do that. Because now that we got the scriptural reference for it, now we got to find out how do we make that happen in our lives. How do we work
So we talk about many reasons why it's difficult to make a decision. And that's the key. And like every other skill, like if you learn dance or to paint or whatever you're doing, you start and you make mistakes and it's like, oh, next time I do it this way. Or next time I do it this way. I start with this. Or I would put water or whatever. Everything we do, washing dishes, folding clothes, doing laundry with the kids, everything we do requires a skill. But we learn those skills by practicing and taking action. That's the key. So every decisions is not... See, we get caught up on the perfectionism. And that's one of the reasons. We don't make decisions.
In recovery.
Because we want it to be perfect. But you will never make the perfect decision. There's no perfect world. There's no perfect decisions. There's no perfect outcomes. Never. It will never be. So get it straight. Like, I want to get it out right now. So whatever decision that you make, it will have a consequence.
Yes.
It will have positive consequences. Mm-hmm. And also it will be something, not necessarily negative, but it's an effort that you will have to do for everything that you do. So it's either starting school or buying a new phone or buying a house or having kids, whatever it is.
Right.
There's always consequences. Mm-hmm. So moving forward, understand that. You have to develop the skill of making decisions. Yes. And everything, the decisions that you make, it will have outcomes, period. Mm-hmm. So moving forward, what I really want people is to learn to make decisions. Mm-hmm. Just like, even if it's negative, because like I said, it's experience. You're gaining the experience and you get confident because it's like, yeah, I did it last time. Yeah, I think I can do it. And then it's like, yeah, I know I made a mistake, but now I know better. Okay, moving forward, yeah, I made a couple of decisions last month. I can do it. See, you get confident in it. That's what it is. Practice makes better.
Yes.
So moving forward, so here are some of the reasons why it's so difficult. And this is for you to pay attention and make notations. Which one do you struggle the most with? Because moving forward, then you can make a note, mental note, or you can always go to those. It's like, why can't I make this decision? Oh, yeah. Number one, because there's fear of making the wrong choice. I mean, like I said, we don't know how to make decisions and we are always in fear of failing. That's one of the biggest fears that we all have. Like, what if I don't succeed? What if I fail? What if I'm not enough? What if I'm not doing good enough? And that's one of the main reasons. But see, fear doesn't have to be negative. We always see fear like something negative in our life, but fears are here to teach us. They're learning lessons. The problem is that we don't want to look at it because it's too ugly to look at. But when you face the fears, then you're learning something about you.
Right.
And you're learning that, like, at the end, on the other side is like, oh, I didn't die. Oh, I just needed to talk to my boss about the X, Y, and Z. And because there was a lady that she was like, I need to go on a trip because my mom is sick, but I'm afraid to talk to my boss. It's like, but your mom is sick.
Right.
It's like, but what if he fires me? Well, first of all, let's get information. You
Right.
cannot get fired
Right.
because you have an emergency.
Right.
It doesn't work like that. But see, it's an irrational fear just because you don't want to think on the real facts. We don't look at real facts. We look
Right.
at how we feel, how we think. And those things and emotions and feelings create assumptions.
Right.
And those assumptions like explode the fears and then become bigger and bigger, and we cannot contain them.
Right.
But if you look at it, it's like, well, yeah, that's true. I'm not gonna get fired, and it's not like I'm going on vacation. And even if you were on vacation, like like if it's something like if you need a vacation, if you need to take a break, everybody deserves a break.
There
It's
you
just
go.
about communicating in a proper way, communicating with time, not just leaving your job, because that's another decision. There's
right,
people that
right,
just
right.
MIA, take off,
Right.
and they don't pick up phone calls, don't return. It's like, okay, it's not that you left. It's
Right.
that you don't respond and you're not saying anything. You didn't told us that your mom was sick. We don't read minds. People don't read minds. So
Right.
it's important that moving forward, understand your fears. What are you afraid of? So that way you can face it. Don't go on assumptions. That's one of the biggest thing. Another one is don't want to be held accountable.
Yeah.
No, you make the decision.
Yeah.
No, you tell me what we do, because I don't want want
Right.
people because we think that people are gonna say, oh, Lily said that, oh, Lily picked that venue,
right, right,
oh,
right.
Lily picked the
Right.
food, oh, Lily picked the cake. So it's so that's why sometimes it's like the cake example. I go to buy a cake, I have to bring the cake, and then there's the strawberry, and then there's the chocolate. I have to bring only one cake. And there's people that will end up buying both of the cakes just because they cannot make a decision.
Exactly.
See, and because, but what if someone, but what if this, but what if they don't like chocolate, but what if this? And then we start with all these what if scenarios, and it's just because, and we don't want to be held accountable.
Right. Right. Right.
Oh,
right.
Lily brought the cakes. And then you will say, because people is like, oh, why, you don't like it? Is
Right.
it bad?
Right.
And then we start like creating all this
Scenario.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's funny.
yes. Another one is the inability to weigh the pros and cons on each option, which is just sit down and get a piece of like a pen and paper and start
Draw a
writing
line.
down.
Pros, cons.
It's just about taking time. See, making decision, and that's why we are not doing it. That's why we don't know how to make decisions, because we are not taking a time and we're not
Right.
making an effort.
Right.
We want to just get it done. Okay, let's get it done quick.
Right.
And
right,
we are
right, right.
rushing into things that we don't really give ourselves time to do a list of pros and cons, as simple
Right.
as a pros and cons list. Why don't we do it? Oh, I don't feel like it. Oh, I don't have time. Oh, I leave it for later.
You're right.
Oh, no. I don't think it's important enough.
Don't you find that a lot when you're mentoring some of the people that we mentor?
Yeah.
And they just want you to tell, okay, just tell
You
me
tell me what to do.
Okay, here's my session, blah, 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 blah. Now tell me what to do. You know? It's like, but it's like you said, they don't want to take accountability for the decision. Right? Well, Lily told me to do that.
Yeah.
That's why it didn't work, because Lily told me to do that.
Yes. Yes.
So it's like you have to flip it back on them and say, get your paper, do your pros and cons, and come back and talk to me.
Yes. So I mean, don't expect people to make a decision for you. If
Right.
that's how you've been doing it, that's why you don't know how to make decisions. As simple as that, because you've been relying on everybody, your parents, your kids. Sometimes we rely on our kids to make decisions for us, our spouse. So we never learn to make those decisions. So it's important that moving forward, give yourself some time to start making your own decisions.
Right.
And because it will be an opportunity for you to say, oh wow, I can do this, I can
Yes.
do this, I am capable of.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
what happens? You feel empowered.
Right.
Your confidence level rises. We were
Right.
talking about confidence levels last meeting. So it rises because then you tell yourself, I can do this.
Mhm.
See, it's just one little thing, simple things as making a list.
Right. Right.
Simple
Mhm.
things. Another reason is procrastination. Is a way to avoiding the decision and hoping the decision will make on its own. It's like,
right.
if I don't think about it, it's not there. Or I leave it for later. Oh, I don't have time. Oh, I know I don't want to think about that right now.
Interesting.
So when? See, what I do on that one, because I
Interesting.
struggle with procrastination. I know a lot of us struggle with that. I set myself deadlines.
Okay.
It's like, okay, so I'm going to give myself in a reasonable deadline, like a week, 2 weeks, depending on the
Right.
situation. Because then we become unreasonable, and then it's like, no, 'cause I'm stupid. And then we start
Right.
calling ourselves names. It's like,
Yeah.
that's not even cool.
Mhm.
So give yourself deadlines. If you're that person that procrastinate, okay, tell yourself by when
Right.
you're going to get it done
Mhm.
and stick with that. As simple as writing a letter.
Right.
Or talking to your boss about a trip or
Mhm.
something, whatever it is, stop
Right.
procrastinating.
Is that kind of, because I'm listening to you talk about procrastination, and you said it's a way of avoiding making a decision or hoping the decision will make itself happen. Isn't that kind of tied back to not being wanted to be held accountable? Because it's kind of like if you do it
Yeah.
at the last minute, well, I didn't have time, so this is why I can only do this much. You know,
Yes.
that's kind of what I was thinking. It's like, okay, that's just another way for you to not accept full accountability for, like, if you're doing a project or whatever. Well, if I would have taken more time, it would have been
Yes.
better. You know?
Yeah, it's the people that says, "Oh, I didn't have time."
Yeah.
And it's like, but we talked about it last
Right.
month.
Yeah.
You didn't have time. You didn't have 30 minutes in a month to do this work.
Mhm.
Oh no, because I'm busy.
Right.
But you don't have kids.
Right.
You don't have a spouse. It's like it doesn't make sense.
Right.
So when we want something, when we want a dress,
Mhm.
we make the time to go
That's
buy
it.
a dress.
That's it. Yeah.
So, and that's a decision. So if you have time to do stuff like that, so it means that you can do it. You just don't want to do it.
Right.
And that's the reality. And this
Right.
is just about making this, and all whatever we do, whatever work we do is about really wanting to do it.
Exactly.
It's just, if you really want to do it, you will find a way. Because I know
Mhm.
a lot of the ladies is like, but you were able to travel. Right? It's like, so if you can travel, then you can definitely do this, X, Y, and Z.
Right, right.
So quit lying.
To yourself.
Yes.
Because you're not lying to us.
Yes. And yeah, procrastination, we talked about it last night too, when it was like, I'll do it later, I'll do it later, I'll do it later. And then you said something that was key. You said, because I work better under pressure.
Under pressure. That's the lie I tell myself.
Yeah, I do it better under pressure.
Right.
And I explained this because why do we do it better under pressure? Because it's the moment that is like, okay, I have an hour to finish it up. In that moment, because we are on that so much pressure, that's when we put the phone down. That's when we isolate ourselves, and then we really
Right.
focus on doing the work. So if you use that sense of urgency ahead of time,
Right.
you're not gonna feel that pressure and
Right.
stress. Because yes, you work under pressure and it's getting you focused, but also you're under stress.
Exactly. Yes.
So it's kind of like, let's find a balance, right? Another reason was perfectionism. It's like, it has to be perfect, but I already said it will never be a perfect scenario.
Right, yes.
Period.
I used to do that a lot. I was a perfectionist, especially writing. I mean, I think our parents were really honest about using the English language correctly. So then when the world of email and texting came along, where it's just like half the words are not even real words, you know, but I can, I write really well, but it could take me like 5 minutes to write a correspondence, and then it would take me 30 minutes to proof it.
Yeah.
Because every I had to be dotted and every T had to be
Yeah.
crossed, and if there wasn't the language didn't sound properly, I have to change. It's debilitating, to be really quite honest with you. It's debilitating, and then you get to the point where it's really not that big of a deal.
And then after that, it's like, because for me, because I remember that, because writing is not my thing, but like I will go over and over, and then later on I will be like, oh, I don't want to do that because it's gonna take me so long, and it has to be perfect, and then I start procrastinating work like that because it was just too much,
Right.
because I was just too focusing on the details,
Right.
And
Right,
then I
right.
went rogue and I stopped doing it. And now I was like, okay, so what does this mean right here? So yes, let's not take it that serious.
Yeah.
So
It's time consuming and it's not worth it.
Yeah.
It's not a good use of your time.
yeah, and as long as people, okay, one thing is being perfectionist, and the other thing is just don't care, plain and simple.
Right.
So it's about finding the middle ground.
Balance.
Yes.
Because both extremes are not good.
Yes. So finding the middle ground. Yes, do your best when you're doing the work, but don't overspend time like trying to see if everything is
Mhm.
like perfect. It's not
Mhm.
about being perfect.
But you know what it really was for me? It wasn't so much about what I was putting out, it was how they were going to perceive me
No.
and what I sent. So I had to get over that, over my self-consciousness, and that just came with growing more confident in who I am.
Yeah.
And then I said, I was like, they know how I speak. They know
Mm.
I don't worry about it now.
It's funny because the books that I'm working on, I have someone proofing them for me.
Mhm, mhm.
And she was like, when I read what it's like you write the way
When
you
you
speak.
talk, yes.
Yeah. And she's like, and I didn't want to correct everything because it's like I'm hearing you talk,
Right.
and then it's like, but she's like, I don't want to. She said, I don't want to change your voice,
Right.
but I understand it's like not everybody's going to perceive
Right.
it that
Good
way.
point. Very good point.
So it's kind of like, yes,
Mhm.
that is true. And also, it's not for me to read it.
There
it's
you
for
go.
other people to read it.
Exactly.
So
Good
that
point.
has
Good
to
point.
make sense for me. It's like,
Mhm.
okay, I have to make sure, and that's communication.
Mhm.
Making sure that the message that I'm delivering is received the way I meant it.
Right.
Even if it's not with my own words,
Mhm.
as long as it's meant what I wanted to meant.
Right.
That's
right.
communication.
Very good. Mhm.
And then we have the external factors, which is things that happen.
Yeah,
There's
'cause things
always
happen.
something happening on the world that will affect the internet went down, or there's a power outage or something.
Mhm.
There's always something going on, and those are
Mhm.
things that, if you procrastinate, and this happens often, it's like, oh, I didn't do the work on time, and then the last minute I was rushing it, and I didn't have internet, and then it started raining, and it's like because you left it at the end. Give yourself some grace,
Give yourself grace. Yes.
some space, some time,
Mhm.
so things
Mhm.
like that don't happen.
Mhm.
Too many options.
Oh my goodness, that's scary. That is I think the biggest tool or whatever thing
Yeah.
that gets in the way of people making decisions.
Yes.
The invention of Amazon did it for me because it's like, okay, I want to buy a vacuum. Well, there's 15,000 vacuums on Amazon that you can buy. I mean, something where I used to just walk into Sears, see the 5 models on display, and be like, okay, that's the one I want. Now it's like 25,000 ones I can buy, and I'm like, okay, well that one's got this and that one's got that can make you take a really long time to
Yes.
make a decision.
Because now you have to read reviews.
Exactly.
And then you have to go see
Exactly.
all the stuff, and it's like, oh
Yeah,
my
is
God.
it really worth it? And then you finally get it, and you forget about all the other 12 that you thought you wanted to buy anyway.
Or you buy it, it's like, why did I want the vacuum anyway?
Exactly. Yeah, I don't even vacuum.
So yes, and that happens
Yeah.
all the time. Starbucks.
I think that is why it's hard for a lot of young people to make decisions.
Yes.
Because there's so much information out there.
Yes.
So much information. So much. I was helping Naomi's son KJ. He's the same age as your boy. With his homework, right? And so it was math, and he had to write out the numbers. So he messed up 13. So I'm like, okay, let's talk about it. Let's sound it out. So he goes on his laptop. 13. How do you spell 13?
Yeah.
I go back to the dark ages where I said, do you know what I had to do when I didn't know how to spell a word? My mom would tell me, go look it up in the dictionary. And I'd be like, well, if I knew how to spell it, I wouldn't have to look it up in the dictionary. And he's just like rolling his eyes like, I don't even want to hear it.
I know. Because now they go, it's like, hey, Google, how do you, and then it's
So
like,
unfair.
yes, it is unfair. So, but that's good. There's no
Mhm.
excuses at this
This
point.
is true. This is
It's
true.
like, okay, I cannot help you because I don't know how to spell 13. Go ask Google.
Right.
So, because that would happen to me. So yeah, there's so many options out there that we have the power of information, and that's a great power. With every great power, there's a
Yes,
great
that's it,
responsibility.
that's it.
So we gotta do research about it, and also understand that not everything that is out there is real,
Mhm.
and understanding that even if you don't pick the right color, like, oh, the pink, and there's people that struggle with it. Like, should I get the pink or should I get the hot pink? Does it make sense? Well, I know for you it makes sense because you're a perfectionist.
Right.
But it doesn't really
Nobody cares.
change the world. Doesn't change who you are.
Right.
So
That's funny.
don't pay too much attention to that.
Mhm.
And not enough confidence, self-esteem. No,
Right.
like I said, if you were never thought
Yeah.
to make decisions, you don't know how to make decisions.
True that.
But accept it. It's like, no, but that's not me. Like, why are you fighting me on this? You're gonna make a decision.
Right.
See, and that happened to me this week. It's like, why are you fighting me? Like,
Right.
you just called me to give you, like,
Right.
to help, to, like, a thought partner. See, that's what we need to do. We get thought partners on situations like this so they can help us
Right.
make a decision. Not for them to make a decision for
Right.
us,
Exactly.
but to help us elaborate the list, just to give us direction to make decisions. Like, that's what we coaches do.
Right.
To help you, walk you, not tell you what to do, but walk you so you can, or give you the direction so you
There
can
you go.
find the right answers for you.
Mm-hmm.
But and little by little you start gaining the confidence that you need to do whatever you want to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's a lack of confidence and it's a low self-esteem issue.
Right.
A lot of these things are self-esteem issues, like not even giving yourself the time, procrastination, perfectionism, the ability to weigh pros and cons. That's a self-esteem issue. Not being able to don't want to be held accountable, self-esteem
Right.
issue. Fears,
Right.
self-esteem issue. So
Good point.
next meeting we will continue finalizing the rest, but it's all ties up. Just because this meeting went a little bit over, we talk about decisions. We started with
Yeah.
decisions, and actually we were talking about why our parents did what they did to us.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
like-
yeah. Isn't that amazing how we made that shift?
It's like we're talking about my decisions, but
Right.
then we're pointing at our parents. Like, why are
right.
they doing this? Why did
Yes.
they do that to us? But essentially, yes, because we are product of our environment, and now we're struggling with that. But the thing is, we think that we should know. This is what we do. I should know
Yes.
better.
Oh, I hear that a lot.
I should know better. I should be better. I should be in a different position. I should.
Right. Right.
But then you think about it, and it's like, well, you are where you should be based on what the decisions that happen and the
exactly
experiences and all that stuff. You are where you should be. The fact that you don't like it, that's good, but you have to accept it instead of fighting it. It's like, no, I shouldn't be like that. I should be living in a bigger house, or I should be. But your decisions or the circumstances put you where you are.
Right.
So you are where you should
Right.
be.
There you go.
Now, if you don't like it, change it.
That's it.
That's the thing. It's like, no, we cry about the things that we don't like, but we don't want to do something about
Right.
it.
Right.
It's kind of like, oh, you want to have more friends, but you also want to isolate yourself.
Can't have both.
You're gonna have your cake and eat it too. It
Right,
just doesn't
right.
work like that. So
Right.
if you want to meet more people, you have to put yourself out there
That's
to
it.
meet more people
That's
where the
it.
people are.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to lose weight, you have to.
Get off the couch.
There you go. I was gonna say stop eating that much, but yeah, get off the couch too. So see, there's choices that those are the right decisions to make. If you don't like the situation where you are, and you are the person that is like, I shouldn't be here, my life shouldn't be this way. Just get it accepted. It's like, I am where I should be. I don't like it. Now, this is where my life I want it to look like. How do I get there?
Right.
And then little by little start making the decisions to get you to that point
Right.
where you want to be.
Right.
So we're gonna be talking about other factors, but it's all related to talking about what happens afterwards and all that stuff. But making a decision, it starts with just doing it.
Right.
That's it.
Like the Nike commercial, just do it.
Just do it. That's it. There's no other options. It's not. You can come to Yuli, you can come to me, and we can probably give you two different answers because both are valid.
Right. Right.
It's
right,
just
right.
like you can do this or you can do that, but at the end of the day, you have to really understand that whatever decision you make, you have to be living with it.
Right.
You will live with that
Right,
decision.
right.
So make sure that whatever you decide is the thing that you're willing to live with. That's it.
Absolutely. And it's not going to kill you if you make the wrong decision.
Well, I mean, depends on the decision that you make.
Well, unless you're like driving 120 miles an hour on a motorcycle blindfolded,
Drunk.
well then, it probably will kill you.
Now let us tell you that that's a stupid
Yeah, that's a
decision.
stupid decision.
Yeah,
Do
so-
we need to put the disclaimer, do not try this at home?
Yes. So, I mean, if you go into a relationship but you don't know nothing about the guy and you go live with him expecting that he's going to rescue, that is a bad decision. So, and that should tell you that, you need to really understand what you're doing and why you're doing it. That's one of the main things, why you are doing it. Because if you're buying a new car just so your friends, so you can fit in with your friends or your environment, then that's a bad decision.
Right.
So there's a lot of stuff to learn,
Yes.
but
Looking forward to the next one. Now, I won't be here because we'll be in the motherland. My husband and I are taking a trip to Africa. So excited.
Yes.
Yes. But I will definitely catch you on the next one.
Yeah, so but the next one we're just gonna finish up this topic, and when you come back we're gonna talk about boundaries.
Boundaries. Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah,
That is a good one. These are all great topics.
Yes, we did it.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Peace out.